So in the colder climates, dahlias, you can't leave them, the tubers, in the ground. So I'm going to show you how I dig up and take care of the dahlias. Many people use a pitchfork, but if you don't have a pitchfork handy, you can use a shovel. Just stay far enough away from the tubers so that way you don't dig through the tubers. I cut down the tubers about a week ago to allow them to start to settle in the ground and know that it's time for them to start making their eyes. I'm gonna just dig out around the edge a little bit and kind of loosely just pull them up. Then you can shake away the dirt. You can see I have a bunch of tubers on this. When I clean this up, I'll try to show you what an eye looks like. Some people take them apart so that way they can plant them one at a time. I so far have just left them in clumps, kind of clean them off a little bit, and I'll show you what I usually do with them. It's a quick and easy way instead of going this route, separating all of them. It's a lot of work. Going this route's a little quicker. Take care of my dahlias the easy way, and then talk about some ways that other people have said that you could take care of your dahlias for the winter. So I mentioned you look for an eye. This kind of clump is kind of hard to break apart and look for the eyes right away. What I've done in the past is I just take some of the big roots off, brush it off a little bit, put it in a bag, set it on the floor in my garage, and plant it in the spring, no problems. Or in the spring, you could break it apart into 2 or 3 groups and then plant that, and then you're very likely to have an eye if you do that as well. And an eye is a lot like potatoes have an eye, so sometimes you'll have potatoes and they start sprouting. That's what happens with dahlias as well. They're all from the tuber family. So clean it off, and which is what I'm probably just going to do with this one. Clean off some of the dirt and the roots. If you look at like this clump right here, this is a little more manageable. I might take this apart. Look for the eye on the tuber and then take them apart from each other, and then replant those in the spring. In the past, like I said though, all I've done is I just take the clump, put it in a bag, put it in a bin, bag inside the bin, put it on the garage floor in between my 2 doors, and plant them next spring, no problem. This year I figured I'd experiment with some different ways of saving the tubers during the winter for the spring. Also, the really tiny ones, and if they're already kind of squishy, like this one's kind of squishy already, that one's going to be discarded. So I'm just going to take that off anyways, just to help the other ones do well. Also, I'm going to cut a little more of the upper part off. So I have my clippers. I've never had a problem having to sanitize my clippers. Some people do that just in case. I don't know, it's probably good practice, but I'm more of the quick and easy type person, and again, I've had no problems. Some people even use like a toothbrush to clean it up. I wouldn't go that far. I'm just cleaning up with my hands. If you let it sit long enough, then it dries up, and then you can just clean them with your hands as well. Okay, this one does have an eye right there, and I'll show you a picture of an eye as well. So this is a good one to keep. This one's a little smushy, but it also does have an eye. It might be too thin to survive the winter, but I'm gonna try. It doesn't hurt trying. Okay, so that one's kind of cleaned up. Just wipe off any of the excess stuff. And that one, it's good to store. Like I said, this one I'm just going to clean up the roots, not take any of it apart, and I will show you a taken apart option too. These ones are harder to see where the eyes are. I think I can see one in there. That one's pretty cleaned up, and I'm just going to store this one like this, and then I'll show you one that I break apart. All right, so if we were going to break apart this one, let's see, where can we figure that out? Because this clump is harder, like I said, than this kind of clump right here, where it's a little more opened up. I think this might be another one I just leave like this. That one's the original. I got that from a friend. These ones I dug up, not on the day that I took the video, but before that, and I left them in my garage up at the duplex. Some of them have already started getting kind of soft and spongy, so I'm not sure if this one's going to make it. So I've got them all cut up, cleaned up, as far as I'm going to clean them up. You still want to leave a little dirt on them, that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Some people clean them right up, they brush them, put them in peat moss, in special boxes. It's not what I do, but maybe you want to try a few different ways just in case. But for me, just doing the clump has worked fine. I have another clump here. I did break some apart this year. Normally I don't really just do little tubers, but I did break a couple apart, and we'll see how that goes. It's always best to experiment, try a few different ways. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and then you will be better luck to have some beautiful dahlias next year. And storing, like I said, I store it in the garage. The garage does not freeze, so that you want to make sure it doesn't freeze. So you want it at least to be 35, 37, high enough that it doesn't get to freezing temperatures or they will wither. And that's why we don't leave them in the ground. And then also, you don't want them to get too hot. Then they're going to think it's starting to be growing season. So 45, 50, you don't want them to get above that. Once they do, then they might start sprouting, and that can happen for a little while. There's been times where I've left them in the garage for a while. My life got too busy with schoolwork, and I didn't get them planted right in the spring, and so they were in the garage, and they had to have gotten warmer than 50, and I planted them, and they were fine as well. Remember, these are plants. They want to live. So they work really hard to survive. So you can't do too much damage to make it not grow. So good luck with your dahlias and see you in the next video. If you find my videos useful or entertaining, please click like and subscribe. Thank you.